Good day, everyone. Good day to my classmates in MAGC 213 Career Guidance and to our dear professor, Professor Naz. Today, I am here to discuss the history of career guidance development in the Philippines. So, before I start, I would like to introduce myself. I am Elvie Barsaga, a first-year student of MA in Guidance and Counseling at Bicol University Graduate School for second semester 2020 to 2021. Now, let's talk about career guidance. So, my partner, Miss Bernadette Dasilio, already discussed the history of career development in West. So today, I am going to focus about the career development in the Philippines. Okay, so let's start by defining career guidance. Career guidance is also known as career counseling. These are services intended to assist individuals of any age and any point throughout their lives to make educational, training, and occupational choices to manage their careers. So this definition is from OECD at year 2004. OECD stands for Organization for Economic Cooperations and Development. So, based on the definition, career guidance is not only limited to the school setting and it has no age limit. Anyone can undergo career guidance as long as they need it. Career guidance is also a comprehensive developmental program designed to assist individuals in making and implementing informed educational and occupational choices. So basically, it is good to start career guidance on students first so that they are informed about different occupational choices. Once they graduate from junior high school, the strand that they're going to choose must be aligned with their occupational choice once they enter the senior high school level. So it's very advisable talaga na we start early so that in the making they can be the students can be very wise in choosing their strands. Okay, next. So, before I discuss further about the history of career guidance, let's have a 1-minute reflection first. So, what do I want to know? Okay. So, how your career choices impact other areas of your life? Okay. So, my question is, how does your current career choice made an impact on the areas of your life? So, you may choose any one of these aspects. So, it's either financially, on your relationships, on your self-esteem, and in your growth as a person. So, how does your career now uh, made an impact in this following aspects? So, I am going to give you a 1-minute reflection to think about your answer. So, you may, as you watch this video, you may comment down on the comment section below, or you can write it on a piece of paper, and then after this video you can comment down your answers. Okay, so let's wait for 1 minute. Okay, last 30 seconds for writing your answers. Okay, time's up. Okay, thank you for your responses. Later on, I will read on the comment section, and we can have a class interaction down the comment section below. So, now thinking about how career guidance had an impact in your life. Okay, this is how career guidance is important for an individual. Now, let's talk about its history in the Philippines. Okay, So during the pre-colonial period in the Philippines, which was here, which was dated year 900 to 1521. Okay, how does counseling status during that time? So counseling during the pre-colonial period was showing traces of indigenous help seeking through A. Superstition, B. Reliance on elders, faith healers, and fortune tellers, and C. Belief in the supernatural. So this was the time that the Spaniards not yet discovered the Philippines. We rely on the elders. Okay, now let's focus more on the succeeding years. Okay, so my report was actually retrieved from Mrs. Rosemary Salazar Clemeña's paper. She is a professor in the Counselor Education Department of De La Salle University, Manila, and this was posted at year 2002 by the National Career Development Association. So her paper was entitled Family Ties and Peso Signs, Challenges for Career Counseling in the Philippines. So as I searched through the internet, she has the most relevant and more specific story of the career history in the Philippines, the career counseling history in the Philippines. So this paper in PDF form was posted in the internet, so you can access it with the references on the last part of this report. So let's tackle her paper. So according to Mrs. Clemeña, the evolution of career counseling in the Philippines was divided into 5 periods. So we are going to take a round of these 5 periods. Let's start with the first period. So she entitled it with the occupational information, which was started from 1913 to 1934. Okay. So at 1913, okay, it was the first time or the first reference to mention the vocational guidance. According to the 1913 report of the Bureau of Public Schools, there's a need to collect information about employment opportunities in different industries. So this is more on information about occupational choices and more on job vacancies. So next, okay, in 1920s, there is a limited and informal guidance services were being offered by only 2 colleges in Manila, which was not mentioned in her paper, unfortunately. But as you can see, it is really limited to 2 schools only. Now, in 1926 to 1930, teachers made available to pupils numerous materials for occupational and educational guidance. So teachers are seeing the need of the students in vocational guidance. So they are trying to do the job of a counselor, but that time there was not yet term for the guidance counselors. Only the teachers made their effort to help the students. So okay, amazing talaga ang mga guro. Okay, in 1933, the Rotary Club of Manila helped finance the publication of reference materials on various trades and professions. So very helpful ang Rotary Club of Manila in the career guidance development sa Pilipinas. So they tried to help the students to be informed about occupational choices of different professions. Okay, so in 1932, the first psychological clinic was established at the University of the Philippines. It was pioneered by Dr. Sinforoso Padilla, Sr., which was concerned itself with cases of student discipline as well as emotional, academic, and vocational problems. So, as we can see, vocational problems are being noticed during that time na. So, they are not only psychological clinic was not only after the discipline and the emotional well-being of the students, but as well as the vocational problems that also needs to be addressed for the students. Okay, so this is UP. Okay. So, Dr. Sinforoso Padilla Sr. died in 1993 at the age of 92. He is also hailed as the father of guidance and counseling in the Philippines. But unfortunately, there is no available picture of Dr. Padilla the Sr. in the internet, but I included here the picture of his son, Dr. Sinforoso Padilla Jr., which died last 2019, because I've seen some of the reports in the internet, some of the uploaders are including his picture as Dr. Sinforoso Padilla the Sr. So this is just a misconception that I would like to correct. Okay, so at the first period, okay, there are varied employment prospects brought about by the economic climate created during the U.S. colonial period. So, the 1930s economic depression further boosted the need to disseminate the occupational information. Okay, so that's all for the first period. Let's talk about the second period. Okay, second period was entitled as Guidance and Counseling Services in the Schools, which was dated from 1935 to 1945. The second period was for 10 years long. Okay, there was a significant growth of guidance and counseling services in public and private schools. Okay, next, there was a assigned new task for the academe. There are deans of boys and deans of girls. Their task is to help the students with disciplinary, academic, vocational, and emotional problems. So, hindi lang nakafocus sila din sa mga disciplinary action for the students, but also vocational guidance is being included. So, there's really a need for the students to have a career counseling. Okay, next. Okay, at 1945, this is a significant year also. The first Guidance Institute was conducted by Army psychologists from the U.S. This can be considered as the first appropriate training for designated counselors at that time. So, this was the first formal training that was led by the soldiers or the Army from U.S. They are Army psychologists, by the way. So, in 1945, the Guidance Associations of the Philippines was created, and this is the first formal organization of Filipino counselors. Okay, next. We have to remember that from 1941 to 1945, Japanese occupation also happened. So, we all know that Japanese occupation is one of the dark times the Philippines had, because it is a time of war, and because of that, there were schools that were closed for part, and guidance services was also suspended. Okay, so that is the end of the second period. Let's have the third period, the counselor training and professional organizations. So what happened during the third period? Okay, the post-war period emphasized counselor training and the birth of organized professional associations. After the war, we are thirsty for change, so counselors started to be a demanding job to help the Filipino people. Okay, from 1946 to 1969, seminars were conducted for teachers who had been assigned to guidance tasks. So, dito na nakikita ng government na iba ang trabaho ng teacher sa guidance counselor, yet binibigyan sila ng task na ito. So, they need to be empowered through seminars. So, from 1946 to 1969, this is what happened. Okay, from thanks to Fulbright and UN, the resource speakers for these seminars were the visiting UN and the Fulbright professors. So, more likely they are from US. Okay, now, synchronously From 1946 to 1969, teachers and other school officials were being sent to US to take guidance courses and observe school guidance programs. So very generous of the US to train us and to let us see what they are doing in their country in terms of school guidance. So, in mid-1950s, the formal degree programs in counselor education began in graduate level. So, nagsimula muna pala siya sa graduate level and then eventually, guidance was introduced as a field of specialization at the undergraduate level as well. Okay. Now, during that time, in 1950s, researcher Ross analyzed the course description of 31 graduate schools that offers master's degree in education, and he found out that 68% of 31 graduate schools offering master's degree includes vocational guidance in their program. So once again, vocational guidance is not being neglected in the master's degree. Okay, in 1951, mandated by Joint Congressional Committee on Education, guidance and counseling programs should assist students with career choices, program difficulties, school and home tasks, job placement, and initial work adjustment. So, very like doon. Why? Okay, because the Philippines is starting to emphasize so the Philippines is starting to emphasize the importance of career guidance. They are concerned to the fresh graduates, especially on the initial work adjustment. Now, this reminds me of my first job. So it was really challenging for a fresh graduate to get used to the first job that they're going to have. So this statement is a real support to the fresh graduates or the job hunters during that time. Okay, next. In 1953, the Philippine Association of Guidance Counselors was established, and this is more on the testing. They are established as a testing bureau. They studied the needs, interests, and potentialities of Filipino youth. So they conduct testing as means of gathering their data. Okay, 1965 is a significant year also. 1965 was the year when Philippine Guidance and Personnel Association, or the PGPA, was established. PGPA is now known as Philippine Guidance and Counseling Association, or PGCA. What is their contribution? In 1965, they helped improve the standards of guidance and personnel work. So this is the logo of PGCA. During PGPA's birth, the experts were observing that there was an imbalance of manpower training and manpower need, according to Bernardino in 1965. And there was a great number of unemployed with college degrees, according to Limcaco in 1965. So as you can see, this is an alarming issue during that time because you graduated or you have a college degree yet you are jobless. So this can really impact the Philippine economy. So that's why PGPA was born. Now, the counselors were challenged to prepare the students in careers that will give them satisfaction, financial security, and employment after completing their studies. So we all study for success, right? So counselors accepted that challenge during that time. Okay, this is a picture of PGCA in year 2019, the board of directors of PGCA. So I've got this picture from their official Facebook page. You can follow it also. PGCA official. Okay, that's the end of third period. Now let's go to the fourth period. This is the year where intensified career guidance effort was happening. Okay, This period was marked by increased attention to career guidance, particularly to career information and tests. So, psychological testing was prominent during these times. Okay, what was the issue back then? So, according to the 1970 report of Presidential Commission to Survey Philippine Education, or PCSPE, there was a mismatch between students' college courses and the training required. So, students were undergoing training, but it is not aligned to their college course. So, they may be talking about the OJT, or the on-the-job training of the students at that time. So, that was reported 1970. And also, as further discussed by the 1970 report of PCSPE, most high school graduates applied for college degree programs regardless of their qualifications or the job opportunities that would later be available for them. So students were choosing courses. Okay, most of the high school graduates are not ready and not informed about the vast job opportunities around them. Okay, some of the high school graduates applied for college admission not knowing what their interests and skills might suit. So they have really no idea. Maybe some of the students are, but not all. Karamihan, hindi sila aware kung ano ba yung bagay ng trabaho sa kanila with their interests or yung mga hilig nila and their skills, kung saan sila magaling. So, this can be a big problem once they entered college because skills and interests must go together. They must jive kung ano yung pinili mong course. Now, the government initiated, after seeing that survey, this is still in 1970, the weekly 1-hour homeroom guidance with emphasis on career development. This was required for elementary and secondary public schools. So, may homeroom guidance na pala noon na wala siya, but then again, bumalik rin naman siya in year 2020. So, later on, we will discuss that. So, during 1970, the government also initiated the NCEE, or the National College Entrance Examination, as basis for students' admission. So, napakahalaga niyan during that time. Okay. The government also initiated to develop and maintain a responsive vocational guidance and testing system in aid of human resources allocation by Bureau of Employment and Services. This was under the Presidential Decree 1412. Okay. So, NMYC was mentioned in this time. Skills training and vocational guidance for out-of-school youth by NMYC, or the National Manpower and Youth Council. So, NMYC is now incorporated into TESDA. So, TESDA is handling this program na for the out-of-school youth. This is very significant, and kitang-kita na yung improvement ng TESDA, especially this current time that we have. Okay, next. Okay, a private institution helped us. So, De La Salle College, now known as DLSU, aimed to develop career monographs and audio-visual materials, multi-aptitude test batteries, patterned after general aptitude test battery. Okay, they tried to develop and help the career counselors na. The Rotary Club of Manila once again helped on publishing career information books. So, what is a multi-aptitude test, by the way? This is a battery of separate tests designed to measure a wide range of relatively independent functions and to yield a profile of a person's abilities in different areas, as contrasted with a single global IQ. Different batteries measure different patterns of abilities. An example is the battery comprising the differential aptitude tests, primarily for use in educational and vocational counseling. So, multi-aptitude test is very important in vocational in career guidance. Okay, the emergence of the movement to explore indigenous psychological concepts and methods inspired attempts to develop psychological tests and other instruments suited for Filipinos. Dito na nagsimula ang localization and indigenization. So, during that time, thesis and dissertation writers tried to, number one, developing of local norms, number two, translating English text to Filipino texts, and number three, they making adaptations of using local situations and scenes in their psychological tests. So, merong pinaka naging center for producing this test. Sila yung parang may pinakamalaking naging trabaho during this time. The Center for Educational Measurement, or CEM, produced Philippine Aptitude Classification Test and the Philippine Occupational Interest Survey, which I cannot access kasi siguro may bayad talaga ito. So, indigenization of psychological tests and assessment instruments suitable for Filipinos. Kasi most of the psychological tests during that time galing talaga sa US, and then the Filipinos are trying to indigenize this assessment instruments para naman swak talaga sa mga Filipino, pati yung mga kasagutan. Okay. So, in 1973, PGPA prepared a career education handbook for use by teachers and counselors in helping the students. Okay, next. In 1973 to 1974, this vocational guidance emphasis was further pursued in the PGPA annual conventions in 1973 to 1974. In 1977, Philippine Vocational Guidance Association, or now known as the Career Development Association of the Philippines, or CDAP, was formed. And their major contribution was, number one, it sought to professionalize the practice of career guidance counseling in the Philippines. Number two, it also involved the HRD practitioners from the government and industrial sectors. So, they help to professionalize the career guidance counseling practice in the Philippines. Okay, CDAP also hosted the 10th World Congress of International Association of Educational and Vocational Guidance, which was first in Asia, last 1980. Okay, a year after, the Philippines once again hosted a conference in career counseling organized by the Asian Women's Institute. So, hashtag Women Empowerment. Bakit? Okay, in 1981, it brought together women educators from Asia and US. They collaborated and formulated the Asian Model of Career Services, which was discussed in the book Women and Work in Asia, and specifically in the volume Aspirations, a career planning handbook for the new Asian woman. So, we have a background naman na there was a somehow discrimination for the women that they cannot have this job because this is only for men. So, in 1981, women empowerment started to bloom as well. So, wala nang magsasabi na kapag police ka, dapat lalaki ka lang. Okay. And any other jobs as well. Okay, in 1982, the DepEd, or the Department of Education, Culture and Sports, collaborated once again with the LaSalle University. Very active talaga ang LaSalle. And they launched the Technical and Vocational Education Project. In 1982, they established a Center for Counselor Training in Career Counseling. Their task is to, number one, to train career counselors for technician education institutes. Number two, to develop a technician careers information handbook. So, this is concerned with the technical and vocational area. So, all these developments took place while the Philippines was under the Marcos dictatorship. The monopolies he established extracted billions from the Philippine economy, leaving the country poorer in 1986. So, sobrang naapektuhan yung ating ekonomiya. Now, what happened? Overqualification of many employees and the export of trained human resources overseas. So, this was according to the report of Higher Education and Labor Market Study. So, ayan. That's what happened after the dictatorship. Now, we are going to enter the fifth period, which was up to present. The 1987 up to present year, but in Clemenya's paper, this was from 1987 to 2001 because, as you can remember, this was published year 2002. Now, the succeeding slides were added by my research on what is the latest happening in the career guidance history here in the Philippines. So, let's talk about 1987 up to 2001. So, from 1987 to 2001, the restoration of democracy buoyed up hopes for economic progress. But still, the problems of poverty, unemployment, and underemployment, and rapid population growth remain. These conditions have led to rising number of OFW. So, dito na nag-start mag-boost yung pangingibang bansa ng mga Pinoy because of so many issues after that era. So, sabi nga dito sa isang picture, no, put man on the right job. Put man the right on the right job. Okay. So, this was talking about for underemployment. Okay, in 1987 up to 2001, expansion of career counseling services outside the school setting was being implemented, and there was an increasing number of companies now provide career counseling services to their personnel. Okay. Hindi na lang siya limited sa school setting, but the companies are also including career counseling in their corporations. Now, what does government do? The government runs skills training centers. They provide career guidance services through information dissemination, client assessment, counseling and placement, and self-employment assistance. So, DepEd in action. Okay, what does DepEd do? Okay. DepEd Order Number 41, Series of 2015 talks about Senior High School Career Guidance Program and Early Registration. So, dito, magpapalista yung mga bata from junior high school, which was the grade 10 students, papuntang grade 11. So, they have to choose what their prospect strand is. So, with the help of Career Guidance Program. Okay, DepEd Memorandum Number 165, Series of 2017, Implementation of Grade 11 Career Guidance Program for 2017 to 2018. This is very latest. So, this is just an example of our application in our school. So, this was year 2019. Okay. I put the caption, Career Advocates and Guidance Counselor worked for career guidance on the grade 11 students in San Lorenzo National High School. Okay. So, we can see here the grade 11 students having a career guidance. Okay, so we invited different speakers for them to have an idea what is it kapag nasa field na. Okay, so DepEd Memorandum Number 169, Series of 2018, Implementation of Grade 12 Career Guidance Modules. So, modules to be delivered by the class advisor or the class advisor was called Career Advocate during the weekly homeroom guidance between June 2019 to March 2020. March 2020, nagkaroon na ng lockdown, so hindi to masyadong na-implement talaga. Okay, so as a proof, this was the paper, the Republic Act number 11206, establishing a career guidance and counseling program for all secondary schools, okay, and appropriating funds therefore. Okay, so that's the um, inclusive details, okay, which was signed by President Duterte. So here's the references that I have. Okay, you may access it later. So my report is presented to our dear professor, Professor Maribel Naz. Okay, that's all for today, and I would like to thank you for listening for my 35-minute report. That's all. Thank you. So I have these slides from Slides Carnival. You can have beautiful slides as well from this website. That would be all. Thank you.